So, Hare Krishna. So, we'll continue with this Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Introduction part, we have already covered most of it. So, we'll talk about Purvi Vibhag, that is, which contains 4 sections. The first wave is that of general principles related to devotional service. Second is relates to sadhana bhakti. Within sadhana bhakti, there are 2 components, that is Vaidhi bhakti and also Raganuga bhakti, then Bhav bhakti, and last is Prem bhakti. So the chapter distribution of first is chapter preface introduction. The chapter 1 relates to general principles of devotional service or Samanya Bhakti, and the chapter number 2 to 14 deal with the Vaidhi Bhakti, and last 15 to 16 they deal with the uh, Raganuga Bhakti, and 17, 18 deal with the Bhav Bhakti, and last 19 deals with the, so 4 Bhaktis, 19 chapters, that is distribution. So we'll concentrate on Purva Vibhag only. We talked about Anya Abhrashta Sunyam, Gyan Karmadi Anapratam, Anukulenu Krishna Bhaktim Uttamam. So that is what we discussed. And Krishna is embodiment of all 12 rasas, 5 primary rasas, 7 then secondary rasas. And we talked about Lord Rama, that Lord Rama had only 2 primary rasas were missing in him. But he is Akhil Rasamrit Murti. He is embodiment of all the rasas. So we'll, definition of pure devotional service we have already discussed. Shelanam Bhaktir Uttamam. So we have to cultivate that kind of bhakti. Now, coming to the Samanya Bhakti part, which is part of introduction, it has got 4 sections: Guru Vandana, Vaishnava Vandana, Granth Vibhag, and Mangalacharan to begin with. So contents are divided, as I told you just now, into 4 sections. The Purva Vibhag is meant for us. The Dakshin Vibhag, Pashchim Vibhag, and Uttar Vibhag, they are meant for senior devotees who are elevated. This is description and distribution of Purva Vibhag. So characteristics of pure devotional service. Pure devotional service is a devotional service which involves activity. Not only devotion, it also involves activity. And what are the activities? All the activities done by mind and senses collectively for the pleasure of Krishna. No personal sense gratification is involved in pure devotional service. Secondly, there is no material contamination. Thirdly, the full knowledge is there. Then thereafter, there is every effort to please Krishna, to do activity which please Krishna, and or involving all senses. So this is pure devotional service. This was an example of Srivasa Mahaprabhu and Nityanand Prabhu. The anecdote or legend we have already discussed. Then now we come to what are the characteristics of pure devotional service. Pure devotional service has got certain features which can reflect that a person is in pure devotional service. So first is Kleshagni. Kleshagni is visible now. You can see on your screen.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, thank you, Mataji. So Klesh Agni means Klesh Agni. Klesh is distress and Agni is fire. So all the kleshas are burned when one enters into pure devotional service. And what are our kleshas? We are here because of these kleshas, only miseries. Because we wanted to enjoy independent of Krishna. That is why we are suffering from miseries. And at the time of birth, when we come in contact with material nature, we get contaminated, soul gets contaminated, and we start, miseries. That becomes the miseries of the beginning of the miseries. So basically, miseries are of 2 types: primary miseries and secondary miseries. What are primary miseries? Can anybody explain what are primary miseries? There are 4 primary miseries every living entity is suffering from.
Birth, death, old age.
Yeah. Birth, death, old age, and in fact, old age and disease. So these are primary miseries. Secondary miseries there are 3 secondary miseries.
Miseries caused by oneself, nature, and
Others.
Yeah,
others.
others. That is Adi Devik, Adi Bhautik, and Adhyatmik. Adhyatmik
Yeah.
by mind and body. Adi Devik caused by the natural forces like, earthquake, floods, and devastations, so many kinds of disasters. And the Adi Devik, that is Adi Bhautik, caused by other living entities and other factors. So this is Kleshagni. Now then second characteristic is Shubhada. That means when the Klesh Agni, the distress or miseries, material miseries are over, then one has got auspiciousness. And the auspiciousness means that everything good starts happening. We know that everybody wants good things to happen in his life, and we look for auspicious moment for all the activities we are performing. Thereafter comes this, so two things. First is Kleshagni and second is Shubhada. These are part of the basically sadhana bhakti. When one gets mature in sadhana bhakti, these features develop. Then next comes moksha laghukrata. That means a person who established in devotional service, pure devotional service, he doesn't want any kind of liberation. We know that liberation is basically five types of liberation, but pure devotee does not want any kind of liberation. Sayuj, Saristi, Samipya, Salokya. And so these devotees, pure devotees, they don't want any kind of liberation. They want perpetual renderance of devotional service to Lord Krishna. So Durlabha, rarely achieved. Pure devotional service is very rare to achieve. Not Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita says, Sa Mahatma Durlabha, Jnanvan Ma Prapadate, Vasudeva Sarvamiti, Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. So pure devotional service is very difficult. Pure Krishna consciousness is very difficult. So these two parts, Moksha Laghukrata and Sudurlabha, manifest when one person is in Bhava Bhakti. Then Sandranand Visheshatma, which is, and the last one is Krishna Akarshani. These two features develop in pure characteristics when one is in a prema bhava state. So we'll discuss one by one these bhaktis. So Kleshagni, he protects surrendered, cause of suffering present and previous sins, and sins are due to ignorance, mature and immature consequences. So Kleshagni, as I just now mentioned, all the miseries are result of our past karma. We are suffering here. We are in this ashwashat dukhalayam because of our desire to independently enjoy ourselves or do our sense gratification, forgetting Krishna. So that is why we keep on entering and re-entering into the cycle of birth and death. So this sufferings are due to present and previous sins that we have committed, not only in this birth, in many, many previous births. And they are due to ignorance. We'll come to this part. Ignorance is called here as avidya. And what is avidya? We consider ourselves as individual entity free from Lord Krishna, whereas our real constitutional position is that we are eternal servitor of Lord Krishna. Jivira hai nitya Krishna Dasa. We have forgotten it. We want to enjoy ourselves. We don't want to work for the pleasure of Lord Krishna, or we don't want to satisfy the senses of Krishna. And mature, and so since this is we will talk about sin cycle afterwards. That sin, in fact, when it is mature, it becomes manifest and we suffer. The misery is there. When it remains hidden or implied or concealed, then it looks for the opportune moment, and when it matures, then it becomes manifest again and we suffer. So this is a prarabdha. When manifestation has occurred, it is prarabdha, and when it is still in immature form, yet to manifest itself, it is aprarabdha. So now Krishna protects his pure devotees, because those devotees, we know about case of Arjuna. We know so many devotees who have surrendered to Lord Krishna, and they were made free from all kind of miseries. So cause of suffering of present and previous sins, and sins are due to ignorance, and ignorance that we consider ourselves as independent entity, totally independent from Krishna. Mum and mom, that is I and ours, that is the cause of miseries basically. So chain of sinful activities that tracks the suffering soul through lifetimes. That means we keep on repeating, entering into the cycle of birth and death. So this is cycle. This is some of the evidences from Shastras that says that how this kleshagnis can be burnt, or kleshagni by pure devotional service can be eliminated. So in this Srimad Bhagavatam, this is from 10 to 11, chapter 14, verse number 19, it says that, my dear Uddhava, devotional service unto me is like a blazing fire which can burn into ashes, unlimited fuel supplied to it. Unlimited fuel means all the sins that we are there, whatever sins we have committed in this life and many, many previous life, they can be burned by pure devotional service. And another quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam is, anyone who performs the 9 kinds of devotional service, even if born in a family of dog eaters, becomes immediately qualified to perform sacrifices. And we know that sacrifices are performed by Brahmanas only. But a person who is low, who is a fallen soul, is a meat eater or dog eater, or Chandal, Prabhupada uses this word for dog eaters, they can also render pure devotional service if they enter into, take up on any one of the 9 devotional service. And what are those 9 devotional modes of devotional service we talked about in the last session? 9 forms of devotional service.
Shraddha sadhu, is it? Or
No, no, no.
Shravanam Kirtanam.
Yes,
Varnam
yes.
Kirtanam.
Shravanam Kirtanam, Smaranam
Shravanam
Pada
Kirtanam,
Sevanam.
Padasevanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, and Atma Nivednam. And in Krishna consciousness, if you go through Bhagavad Gita, Krishna has talked so much about hearing and Shravanam and Kirtanam. Kirtanam was given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Lord Krishna, when he is addressing Arjuna, he repeatedly says, now listen, now Shranu. So many times he has said, now listen to what I am saying. So this is the importance of Shravanam and Kirtanam. So anyone who performs, howsoever fallen a person may be, but if he enters in any one of the 9 kinds of services, devotional service, that is bhakti, mode of bhakti, which was prescribed at Prahlad Maharaj, one can elevate to the level of pure devotion and become a Brahmana and can perform sacrifices. Now, when we were talking about chanting, chanting is one of the kirtanam form. When we are chanting, we are not purely in a pure consciousness. In fact, we are is already in a state of contaminated state, and we are chanting as a part of sadhana bhakti. Sometimes devotees start crying also, tears start falling from their eyes. So are we in a state of bhava or prema bhakti state? No, because our kleshas or our miseries are melting away. So when there is miseries are getting eliminated when we are shedding our tears. At that time, we rise to a next stage, that is shubhata. So falling of tears or crying at the time of chanting is a sign of getting getting relief from the different kind of miseries also. So this story we already discussed. Vasudeva Vipra, who was suffering from leprosy, and ultimately Mahaprabhu cured him of this. So this is a specific qualification that how pure sadhana bhakti, he was chanting whole day and night on the Lord Krishna's name, and how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu happened to visit this Kurma Sthana, the place where he was residing, and ultimately he returns back, hearing the loud cry of Bhakta, and ultimately he embraces, and this is gone. But as soon as his disease was eliminated, the leprosy was eliminated, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced him. By embrace, the disease was gone, and at that time he this Vipra or Vasudev Vipra said that please do not make me beautiful, because when I'm so fair and I become so beautiful or handsome, then I will get proud of my beauty and then I'll forget you. So he wanted to remain in this. And you know that he had so many wounds of leprosy that maggots were falling. He was so kind-hearted and compassionate to even maggots who were giving him so much of pain that he will pick up and put them back in his wounds. So this is how this was happening. So these are evidences from. Now, why we talked about here this point, sins are due to ignorance, and how and the mature and immature consequences of sins which perform. So kleshas, material distresses, has three causes. So three causes. The kleshas are, three type of kleshas are there. We'll discuss the divisions. First is material, second is Brahmanan, and third is, of course, pure devotional service. So kleshas, these are three stages. So avidya means ignorance. Ignorance is that we are the knowledge or vidya is that we are avidya or ignorance is that we forget that we are part and parcel of Lord Krishna. We are eternal servitor. That is our constitutional position. And on taking birth, at the time of birth, the soul is pristine, pure, clear, and it is not contaminated. By coming in contact with three modes of material nature or based on three modes of material nature, we come in contact with material nature or the Prakriti, and the result is soul gets contaminated. We forget about Krishna at all. So when there is ignorance, we want to enjoy independent of Krishna. And independent of Krishna, that means we have a desire to use something. Now when there is a desire, then desire is converted to action and that becomes pap. And then when desire is converted into action, we suffer. So an example analogy can be given here that we know that smoking or drinking, taking alcohol is injurious to health. But there is a desire, there is a bija in our mind. So we want to enjoy. We know that it is not good. Yes, yet we have a desire to use those prohibited things. So we consume, that is a pap or that is a sin that we are committing. And the result of sin is manifested later on. It is not instant. Instantly, there may be some cough or some maybe gastric upset, but later we know that we develop lung diseases, we develop cancer and all other kind of mortal diseases. So this is klesha, which is how is manifesting. So the Krishna consciousness, if person is rendering pure devotional service, this sin cycle is broken, right? So we do not be that we know then we are not ignorant. We get knowledge, and the knowledge avoids us from sinful tendencies, and there is no miseries thereafter. So it is also compared to a small seed. Now, seed, when it gets proper environment in the soil and is properly looked after, it germinates. And after germinates, it sprouts. And on sprouting, it has got leaves, stems, leaves, and also flowers, and then ultimately the fruit. So this is how avidya, ignorance, is leading to our desire to satisfy our own senses, and the desire leads to our sinful activities, and the sinful activities ultimately lead to different kind of miseries. So this is a cycle which is mentioned beautifully here, cycle of sinful life. This was in last sessions, some Mataji had asked this question, how we are doing, why we are doing this. So avidya is ignorance. As I told you, avidya means that we are not conscious that we are eternal servitor of Krishna. We are here to serve Krishna, not self satisfaction or self gratification of our desires. So due to this, there is a sinful tendency or desire to do something, and that remains in seed form. It is still not germinated. But when it gets proper environment, then we do sinful activities. Then sinful activities result into, they become manifest. If they remain unmanifested, there is no reaction to the sin. In our life, we meet so many people who are doing sinful activities, yet they are enjoying their life, material opulences, and so many other comfort and luxurious style. But what is happening in their case? Because of the illegal means, on immoral means, or unethical means by which they have accumulated those wealth, they are comfortable, right? And then the reaction, or the reaction to their karma or sinful activities is not manifested in the same life. But sometimes it, when it is not manifested, it remains as a sinful disposition. Or here it was desire, here is a disposition which is called as kutam. Now kutam, whenever again proper environment, proper soil conditions, it is going to sprout. So sinful disposition is there. That means the seed has a tendency to grow, to sprout. But when the atmosphere is there or the proper environment is there, it starts. So this disposition remains, and disposition results into desire, and ultimately sinful action is conducted. So when it becomes manifest, so aprarabdha, it may manifest immediately soon after sinful action, or it may be delayed. Then when it is delayed, manifested delayed, then it is called prarabdha. So aprarabdha, it is immediately manifested, then it becomes prarabdha. That becomes abharvak. This is what we say. So this is cycle of sinful life. How we are, whenever there is manifestation, there are material miseries. So these are sufferings are there. So then this is how desire, our ignorance, the root cause is here avidya. And Krishna consciousness provides us this knowledge, basically. And Lord Krishna and our great acharyas who have lived this knowledge, they are our examples for to be followed up. So avidya leads is the root cause, and it may result into bija or sinful desires to perform. Then when sinful activity is performed, it may manifest itself immediately. Then it results into immediate suffering. Now, sometimes you see this aprarabdha. If there is a couple who is a very pious, all kinds of austerity, penances, sacrifices they are performing, pious people, devotees of Lord Krishna, deeply in Krishna consciousness, but they have a child, who is born with lot of diseases, maybe genetic diseases or metabolic diseases, sometimes birth disease, which are called congenital diseases. So the child has not yet come in the contact with material world, yet he has contracted so many diseases because of past karmas, not only of the previous life, but many previous lives. The sinful activities that he accumulated, they were not manifested in the same life form, and there was no suffering. So he enjoyed. But when he takes another life or form, therefore, then he starts suffering from this, and the suffering begins from right from the birth. So this is first manifestation, kleshagni. So there is enough shastric evidence to support that all kind of material miseries, primary miseries and secondary miseries, they get eliminated by doing pure devotional service. And then in the primary, we talked about primary kleshas are our birth, death, then old age and disease. So one who is in pure devotional service, one who has risen above the three modes of material nature and is in a sattva state, he rises to Goloka Vrindavan, right? So that is how this Klesh Agni are eliminated by pure devotion. Second characteristic is Shubhada or auspiciousness. We know all of us in our life are looking for auspicious moments, for when to go to start, schooling, when build a house, when to go into a house, when to perform a marriage ceremony or something. We are always looking for auspicious moment. But in devotional service, every moment, every second is auspicious. So when material miseries or material distress, they are eliminated, things start happening in good, auspicious manner. So as suffering decreases, auspiciousness increases. So that is a direct relationship between. So one has to have pure devotional service first, so that kleshagni are removed. When there is kleshagni is removed, there is no tension, no anxiety, no worries, no dualities of life faced by the devotee, and ultimately everything becomes auspicious for him. Even because even if bad things happen to a pure devotee, he accepts, he says, Krishna's mercy. because he considers that my past sin are getting eliminated by this suffering. So this is how beginning of auspiciousness happens. And these two are fully manifest at Nishta. And when we have full confidence that Avashya Rakshave Krishna, we have full faith, then these things happen. That is Kleshagni and this auspiciousness. And these are part of the sadhana bhakti. These two, Kleshagni, as I told earlier, that is Shubhda, they are. Auspicious means welfare of everyone. A person whose Kleshagni are gone, who is in Shubhada state, he considers welfare of each and everyone or each and every living entity. In fact, Krishna consciousness is the only activity by which we can work for welfare of everyone. You know, we have got United Nations and Security Council and so many bodies looking after welfare of the individual, but they are not successful. But peace formula is given by Lord Krishna in Srimad Bhagavata, that we have to worship Lord and then everything becomes auspicious for us. Auspiciousness means development of all good qualities or character, not only knowledge. So auspiciousness is not only pure devotional service. Certain qualities also have to develop in the devotee, pure devotee. And what are those qualities? You will remember in Bhakti, in Bhagavad Gita, chapter number 16, 26 divine qualities and 6 demoniac qualities are described. So when a person is in the path of pure devotional services, he thinks or he develops all those good qualities also. So second is Shubhada, and the Subhada and the Shubhada and or the auspiciousness and Kleshagni, they are part of the initial stage of sadhana bhakti. So auspicious means superior happiness. Now happiness has again been divided into three. One is material enjoyment or material happiness. Second is happiness of Brahmananda and happiness of Krishna consciousness. So material happiness, we'll remember in the first chapter, the introduction part, we talked about Chapal Sukha. Chapal Sukha means transient happiness. Now, this moment, I obtain some material object, say maybe an iPhone 17 or maybe a big television or a big house or some kind of material benefit. I'm happy for some time. But this happiness is transitory. It doesn't last long for, doesn't endure for long period. So this is material happiness. Immediately we shift on to next activity of material activity, which can give us more happiness. So this happiness of material enjoyment is not permanent, it is not endurable, it is not eternal. It ultimately lasts for some time and then ultimately person is in a state of misery again or distress again. Then happiness of Brahmananda. Brahmananda, this is the happiness gained by impersonalists or Mayavadi. They want Sayuj Mukti and they want to merge into the Lord or the Brahma Jyoti itself. But there is no activity, there is no relationship, there is no rasa or there is no mellow in that kind of, because there is no relationship. When there is no relationship, there is no rasa. And the last, so ultimately, and this is also transitory and this also does not last long. Why? Because what happens that as soon as the stock of good punya or punya karma or the sukratis, they are over, the person falls down, again enter into the cycle of birth and death. This happens with the devotees, yogis, who and impersonalists or mayavadis also, philosophical speculators, yogis, and also those who are impersonalist or Mayavadi. They derive this kind of happiness, but their happiness is transitory again. Then third happiness is of Krishna consciousness. Now, happiness of Krishna consciousness is everlasting. It is eternal. Now, all of us are chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. We do not get bored. We still, if we have not completed our round of a day, we still hanker for completing it. And it gives us so much of solace and peace, mental peace, and a state of bliss is achieved when we are doing with full concentration. That is, we are not doing nama parada, we are in a bhava state, then we develop some kind of rasa with this name of Lord Krishna. And we know that name and form and attributes and qualities and the pastimes of Lord Krishna are none not different from Krishna himself. So when we are saying Krishna, Krishna is with us. He is with us all the time as a Paramatma form. But when we are chanting, we derive a lot of happiness by being one with Krishna at that moment. So happiness of Krishna consciousness is eternal, everlasting, and it never. Now you will need a, say, just watch a television, some kind of serial, or read some kind of normal material book, not a spiritual scripture. Then we get bored. Once we have finished, we would not like to look at it. But Bhagavad Gita is being studied for last 5,000 years continuously, and it is still giving motivation and inspiration. So this is the role of Krishna consciousness. Everybody wants to listen, and our acharyas and Srila Prabhupada. So happiness of Krishna consciousness is highest and eternal. It excels pleasures find in other two. Other two are material enjoyment and the happiness of Brahmananda or Sayuj Mukti. So this is the beauty of. So first characteristic was Kleshagni, second is Shubhada. Good things start happening when one is removed, one is free from the kleshagnis. And auspicious things, good things start happening because one accepts all kind of miseries as blessings of Lord or mercy of Lord, and then he is satisfied and contented. So these are part of the sadhana bhakti. Now, second, after Shubda, within Shubda also, liberation, Mayavadis fall back to material activities for want of relationship. We have already discussed that because there is no activity in Sayuj Mukti, which Mayavadis are looking at, there is no rasa. So ultimately, as soon as there's punya karma, they come to an end or the balance is nil, they return back to cycle of birth. So yogi siddhis are also same. They are also material experiences. They are also, when punya karma end up, they enter into the primary misery, that is the cycle of birth and death, old age, disease. So they are not soul nourishing, but Krishna consciousness is soul nourishing. It gives bliss to the Atma. Why bliss to the Atma? Because we are part of Lord Krishna, part and parcel of Lord Krishna. Soul also does not want, the super soul does not want us, the individual soul, to suffer because of detachment. So karmis any moment can be kicked out. Example of Kola Vecha Sridhar and Sanatan Goswami, devotees get all his desires fulfilled by the Lord even without desiring him. So this is an example. Kola Vecha Sridhar, Sridhar Pandit, Panch Tatra, Panch Mahatattva. So Kola Vecha Sridhar, he is a Brahmin, in fact. And as a Brahmin, he used to, sell the plant leaves of banana. And these banana leaves, they can be converted into cups, they can be converted into plates. So flour, fruits, and all these things used to be sold by Khola Becha. So Khola Becha means a person who sells kola or cover. So plantain leaves or this kela leaves or banana leaves were sold by Khola Becha Sridhar. Now, this is a pastime which I'll just mention in briefly, that Sridhar used to sell all these products of banana plant. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will come to him and he will ask for some items, and the price quoted, he will pay just half, 50% of it. Then there shall be an argument between Sridhar Prabhu and also between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as a young boy, he will tease and he will run away without paying full price. He will pay half price only. But still, Khola Becha wanted that Sridhar wanted that only Chaitanya Mahaprabhu should come and buy his. He used to supply, Sridhar Prabhu used to supply banana leaves to Sachi Mata so that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could take his meals on those leaves. So Khola Becha Sridhar, this is pastime. Now, Sanatan Goswami case also, we know that he parted with all of his money. 50% he gave to people for Krishna consciousness, and those Vaishnavas or Brahmins who were involved in Krishna consciousness, 25% he retained for personal emergencies and 25% to his needy relatives. So there was pure feeling of love in their heart for the suffering humanity. So that is how they, did, and all kind of shovda or auspiciousness happened with these people. So the desire, Lord understands our desire. There is no need to ask for anything from Lord, because pure devotees do not ask anything from Lord, or any material benefit or any spiritual benefit also, except they want to serve Lord in indiscriminately, ahetiki, apratihata, without any desire for return or without any interruption. They want to serve Lord Krishna. So this is the beauty of pure Krishna consciousness, and it is happening only when Shubhada is there. So after Kleshagni comes the Shubhada. Then third stage is Sudurlabha. This is part of the Bhava Bhakti. It is very rare to achieve pure devotional service. So unattainable by our own efforts. On our own efforts, we cannot attain pure devotional service. So why we cannot attain pure devotional service by own efforts? Can anybody answer? Why our efforts cannot give a result of pure devotional service?
Until unless we get the shelter of Guru mercy, we
Yeah,
can't attain.
very nice. So Vaishnava mercy is there, and what else? We have discussed this point in the last session. So we need a spiritual master or mercy of a spiritual master, as you said. How will Shraddha develop? There were prerequisites before Shraddha develops, which we discussed in the last meeting. So so we need to serve and we need the mercy of Vaishnavas. So these are two prerequisites for getting Shraddha. Now, devotional service we are not talking about. Only Shraddha will develop after these things. So our own efforts are not enough to produce pure devotional service. The basic reason is that we are contaminated souls, and our spiritual masters are elevated souls. They are eternal servitors of Lord Krishna, and it is through their mercy and their following the path of our acharyas we can only attain this Sudurlabha, because pure devotional service it is very difficult to obtain. Not by austerities nor by penances, even by desirelessness not possible. So desirelessness, yogis and impersonalists, they have no desire because they are not having any relationship. They just want to merge. This is only desire. Austerity and penances, Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita has already mentioned that even the austerities and penances performed in mode of goodness, they are also binding. They also, because the devotee ultimately enters into the cycle of birth and death. He may go by doing austerity and penances to higher planets, but as soon as the stock or balance of good acts or the punya karma is finished, he descends down to this material world again. So Krishna is reluctant to award it. Why Krishna? So attainable by own efforts. So we need a spiritual master. We need mercy of Vaishnavas. We need mercy of our spiritual master, and we need to do seva or service to spiritual master. Vapu Seva and Vani Seva, two kind of sevas are required before our spiritual master Vaishnava is pleased to bestow upon us the mercy. Right? So next question is, Krishna is reluctant to award. Why Krishna is reluctant to give pure devotional service to his devotees? Can anybody answer or think of reason? Why Krishna is reluctant? Look, I am doing devotional service. Krishna should be pleased now. And he should be, in fact, giving me pure devotional service also. At this stage, I am contaminated. I am doing only sadhana bhakti. Why Krishna is reluctant? Any Prabhuji, Mataji?
We get pride and proud, our ego pop up.
Yeah, we might get popped up in our mind, may be swollen that, yes. But Krishna is like, why on the part of Krishna, what is wrong with him? Why he is not doing, giving pure devotional service to us?
Because he will be sold out, Hare Krishna.
Krishna will not, he is Achita, he never falls down from his position. He became
No, no.
Sarathi of Arjuna.
He'll be sold out if he gives.
Sold out.
So
Yes, yes, Prabhuji, you are at the right point here. Krishna, just I will give an example before say, is reluctant to award it. Then Krishna becomes, subordinate to his bhakta. What happened with Arjuna? What happened with in the Damodar Leela? Krishna becomes subjudice. Krishna becomes subordinate to Yashoda. He permitted himself to be bound by through a rope, and she was always chastising Krishna as a Bal Krishna for all kind of activities Krishna was performing as a baby Krishna or child Krishna. So Krishna is award. Krishna is reluctant because then he becomes subordinate to what this is what happened with Sudama also. He became subordinate to, he washed his feet with his own hands. He in fact cried before Ma Yashoda, and he in fact was offered himself to be bound by the rope of love by Mother Yashoda. So this kind of Sudurlabha is very rare because pure devotional service is not easy to attain by our own efforts, and we need the mercy of spiritual master. We have to do seva or service to our spiritual master, because when we do seva when we are serving our spiritual master prays to Radharani. And Radharani then, when she is pleased, she passes on our prayers or our services to Lord Krishna. So this is the chain. So we'll talk about Madan Mohan Mohini, then we'll discuss. So this is Sudurlabha is very rare to achieve. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna has already said, Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. You know, Jnanvan Mam Prapadyate. Vasudeva Sarvam Iti Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. So this is very rare because attaining pure devotional service like what Mother Yashoda got, what Arjuna got is very, very rare too. Then when one is in Bhava Bhakti, Moksha Laghu Krat. That means liberation becomes insignificant for pure devotees. He wants to render devotional service eternally, whether here or in the Goloka Vrindavan. Where and how we, pure devotee, as though we know that those kind of liberations or mukti we do not want. Liberation is like a maid servant basically for devotee. Devotee becomes a queen. When a queen is walking, maid servants walk behind her. So when a pure devotee is, a person is in pure devotion, then moksha or liberation follows it. Because Lord, you will remember Haridas case of Haridas Thakur, that Mukti Devi was at his door asking for his liberation, that she was there to liberate him, but he refused liberation because he wants to do Hari Nam Jap only. He wanted to render devotional service to Lord Krishna only. So moksha is insignificant, and others' joy follows devotion as maid servant follow the king. So this is in the first stage sadhana bhakti. We talked about kleshagni and of course about the shubhada or the auspiciousness. In the bhava bhakti, sudurlabha and the moksha laghu krita, these are two symptoms. Then in the previous, this is Radharaman Murti, DT Radharaman. Does anybody know how it manifested and what happened here? This is Radharaman temple in Vrindavan, one of the temple found by one of the six Goswamis. So I'll just give you a small story of Radharaman deity here. Radharaman deity is Swayambhu. It manifested by itself. Gopal Bhatta Goswami, after departure of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was in a mode of great pain and separation, of Vipralamba Bhav, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left this earth. So he went to Nepal, and there is a river by the name of Lower Gandaki River. So he went to take bath. While he was taking bath, he put his pot in the river, so for collecting some water. Then 12 stones or shaligram, which we call, they appeared into his pot. When he saw this water, he took out all 12 stones and threw them into the river again. But what happens automatically, these 12 stones reappear in his pot. Twice or thrice he tried to throw them away, but they kept on reappearing. So he thought it is Lord's mercy, so let me take them and let me worship them. So he came to Vrindavan and then he started worshipping them. A wealthy merchant comes to Vrindavan. He wanted to offer a lot of jewels, ornaments, and good clothings and apparels and everything to Gopal Bhatta Goswami. He wanted that you take them, but he was very sorrowful in his mind. He thought that I have got these stone pieces only. How can I decorate these stone pieces with so many of ornaments and all these jewels and all those things? So in the mind, he prayed to Lord Krishna that why don't you come to me in the form of a human form so that I can decorate you, I can see you, and I can worship you with my whole heart and all these paraphernalia. I can offer you garland, I can offer you bhoga, and I can also decorate you with all these jewels and all those things. So what happens that, and this is happened about 485 years ago, perhaps. So one night it was Narsing Chaturdashi night. So this is the dream which he was praying, and he was praying. Next morning when he gets up, he finds that one of the stone has converted into a 12 inches statue or deity, and that was Radharaman. So it was manifest, self-manifest, or it was Swayambhu. So then in the dream also he saw that he should be established and worshipped with rituals and all kind of activities. So this Radharaman temple was built in about 500 years back in Vrindavan, and deity of Radharaman was established. Now this deity has got there is no Radharani with the Lord Krishna here in this temple. It is only Radharaman temple, and it has got certain unique features. Now this is in a Tribhanga Mudra. There are three curves in the body of Lord Krishna in this deity, and he is playing. Iconography is superior class, excellent class of iconography is there. Iconography is there when Krishna is smiling or Radharaman is smiling, he can see his beautiful teeth. Then his curvature of the body, his eyes, his smile, his cheeks, everything so exclusive and beautiful, in fact. And third is Radha Gopal Bhatta Goswami used to cook, prasadam, bhoga for deities here. And in this kitchen, to date, past 485 years, the flame is still burning. Nobody knows the source. So this is still eternal flame, which is still coming out and for cooking of the. So Gopal Bhatta Goswami, this temple, Radharaman temple, was constructed by deity, was established, and these are marvelous things which are happening here in Vrindavan. Then comes Sandranand Visheshatma. So when one is devoid of all material distress, when one is having all auspiciousness, there is no misery, there is no ill feeling for anybody, or because Krishna consciousness is the best thing which one can do for. That is why our acharyas, the spiritual master, asks us to at least bring in one devotee through our own efforts into Krishna fold, because we want everybody to be happy, everybody to enjoy the bliss and joy that we are feeling ourselves. So this Sandratma, Visheshatma, it is condensed bliss. This is part of the Prem Bhakti. Now there are two parts. There are 6 symptoms. 2 belong to Bhava Bhakti, Sadhana Bhakti, 2 belong to Bhava Bhakti, and last two, that is Sandranand and Krishna Akarshani, they belong to Prema Bhakti. It is the highest form of bliss. And there is no Bhava. There is only love only. There is no feeling except feeling of love and complete surrender to Lord. So that stays. It is this state of bliss appears at the state of Prema Bhakti, and Prema is so thick that nothing can penetrate it. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in a state of Bhava and Prema Bhakti only. All the time there was no desire except, and his bliss was so pure that when he was passing through the forest of Jharikhanda, the animals, trees even started dancing when he was chanting. So this is the influence of Prema Bhakti. Now, Krishna Akarshani. Now, in the last session, we talked about that once there, Lord Krishna, that Lord Shiva, Cupid was very, very proud of himself that I can attract anybody. I can go to heavens and everybody gets attracted or influenced by me. So he goes to Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva says that, okay, you are so proud of yourself that you can attract everyone. Why not go to Vrindavan? There is a small boy there. And if you are able to attract him, I will accept that you're all powerful. So he goes to Vrindavan. He sits on a branch of a tree and watches Krishna to wait for Krishna to come and do Ras Leela or pastime here. Now Krishna comes along with his cowherd boys and these gopas and gopis, and he starts performing. So Cupid was so enchanted and attracted by having a slant look of Lord Krishna that he fell down from the tree. And he surrendered to Lord Krishna there. So Krishna is Madan Mohan. Thousands of cupids cannot attract Krishna, but Krishna is Madan Mohan Mohini. Krishna is attracted by Radha Rani. You can just imagine. And in the Radha Raman temple, I just now mentioned that there is no statue of Radha Rani there. Radha Raman, that means Radha is inside Lord Krishna here. And symbolically, a silver plate or some kind of jewels and ornaments are kept in a silver plate, and that is considered to the presence of Radha Rani in Radha Raman temple. So this is one thing here. So this Krishna Akarshani, Sri Krishna Akarshani. The Krishna, we know, name Krishna itself is all attraction. He is all attracting, right? So we are controlled by attachments, and only self-satisfied are independent. Lord is Atma Rama, but is attracted and controlled by Haladni Shakti. No other process have this potency. Madan Mohan Mohini follow in the footsteps of Radharani. So, as I just now mentioned, we will start from the bottom. Follow footsteps of Radharani. In Vrindavana, everybody is worshipping Radhe Radhe, is saying Radhe Radhe and worshipping Radharani. Krishna is being treated as their own child or baby. They are such in a stage of Bhava Bhakti and Prema Bhakti, Shuddha Prema Bhakti, that they do not consider Krishna as their God or somebody who is empowered, the cause of all causes. So Krishna, as I mentioned earlier, that we have to pray to Krishna through our spiritual master. Spiritual master passes on our prayers to Radharani. When she is pleased, she passes on our prayers to Lord Krishna. So we have to follow the steps of Radharani, and Radharani is the Haladini Shakti of Lord Krishna. She is the inner potency of Lord Krishna. Krishna is effective, not effective if there is no Radharani. Krishna is effective only when Radharani, the Haladini Shakti or Yogmaya Shakti of Krishna is with him. That is Radharani. So Lord is present in the heart of everybody, is Atma Rama. He is in the form of Super Soul. He is always there, present with us. And who can realize? Self-realization means Krishna realization. Only those who realize Krishna, they are self-realized people. So we are attached by different kind of material attraction or material object. So these are 6 characteristics of features of pure devotional service. And when one develops pure devotional service, these symptoms manifest themselves. And our Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you will remember when he went to Dwarika, had a darshan of Jagannath, Lord Jagannath in Puri. He went into bhava state. He fell unconscious, and with lot of efforts only, he was in such a ecstasy state, as ecstasy of bhava bhakti, ecstasy of prema bhakti, that he immediately, and he will keep on crying. He's in a great bhava bhakti. Whenever he was chanting, he will start crying. Tears is rolling down from his eyes. So that is how. So this is end of preface introduction at chapter 1. If you permit, we can have 2 or 3 slides are there. 3, 4 slides are there. We even continue part of chapter 2. This first stages of devotion. So this is Radha Raman Murti statue, is Murti here. So three types of bhakti we have already talked: sadhana bhakti, bhava bhakti, and prema bhakti. So sadhana bhakti eliminates our kleshagni and is beginning of auspiciousness or shubhada. Bhava bhakti is moksha. A person who is in bhava bhakti, he doesn't bother or care for liberation at all. He wants to render eternally loving devotional service to Lord Krishna. And it is, but bhava bhakti is this stage is sudurlabha. And Krishna also doesn't want us to have this because we are contaminated. It is very, very difficult. Bahunam Janmanam Ante Gyanvan Ma Prapadyate. Even the worship starts after many, many births, and Vasdeva Sarvamiti Sam Mahatma Sudurlava. So such a person is very, very difficult. That is why it is Sudurlava to attain pure devotional service. The last stage is Sandranand, Visheshatma, and Sri Krishna Akarshani. We have dealt with these stages very. So then we come to what is this about? The practice means employing our mind and senses in practical devotional service. As I mentioned in the beginning, that devotional service means activity. So activity has to be practiced. What kind of activity? Activity which gives pleasure to Krishna, which is not meant for our own self-sense gratification. It is meant for, with Shuddha Bhav, it is meant for pleasure of Lord Krishna. So whatever we are doing, say like preparation of bhoga, preparation of the, of a garland, or doing some kind of devotional activity, decoration of deity, cleaning of temples, or other such activities, we need to practice them here. So when we practice here with our full and mind senses, as was done by Amrish Maharaj, he employed all his senses and all his mind. He had no ego, no material activity, everything for the service of Lord or pleasure of Lord. So when we do practice here, when we are in a stage of prema bhakti, or we get mercy of Lord Krishna, then we can go to Goloka Vrindavan, so that we can practice. When we practice here, then we can serve Lord in those fashions. So practice there to invoke consciousness which is innate, already there, and purify it. So the consciousness, Jivera hai Nitya Krishna Dasa. So we are eternal servant of Lord, but we have forgotten. So this innate capacity, and earlier we also discussed that we have a innate tendency to love someone and be loved by someone. But our love is misdirected. We are loving material objects. We are not loving the source, that Krishna, that is all. So that innate consciousness is there, but it is dormant. So we have to activate this consciousness. Now, just take an analogy of a baby. Now, a small baby, infant, you leave it on the ground, then after some time, it will try to crawl on the ground. When the infant grows up a bit, then it is not that it doesn't know the walking. It knows already walking. The capacity or the inherent strength or inherent uh, property or attribute of walking is already there in the body of that infant. But by practice, that once you hold the finger, and then the child starts walking. And by regular practice, it starts walking without any help, independently also. So similarly, say, take example of birds and ducklings. Small birds, when they are born, or the birds of any kind, they are born, they try to flutter their wings so that they can rise above the ground level. But gradually, by practice, they start flying also. The birds start flying. Similarly, ducklings, take example of small baby ducklings, they have inherent capacity or innate capacity to swim in the waters. But gradually, as soon as nobody teaches them how to swim, but they have that in. So in our innate consciousness or dormant consciousness is to serve Krishna, but only by practice we can activate this. So it is innate, it is dormant. By practice we can purify it and render. Rather than doing self-sense gratification, we can do gratification of senses of pleasure of Krishna, or we can do service due to which pleases Krishna. Anukulenu Krishna. We heard this word. Anukulenu Krishna. means which is favorable to Krishna. And who did devotional service to Krishna which was unfavorable in Shastras? Examples of persons? Please name. We talked about those persons. Devotees who remembered Krishna always, but they were not favorable remembrance. It was always unfavorable. Kansa, Shishupal,
Duryodhana.
Ravana. Ravana was also remembering Krishna all the time, but it was not favorable to Krishna. So prescribed method, there comes the role of a spiritual master and guidelines. There are certain, you want to be a doctor, you want to be an engineer, you have to study, you have to qualify an examination, you have to study subjects, and thereafter you have to practice as intern or something, then you become a doctor. So prescribed method has to be followed to become a pure devotee. Then mad jiva engaged in activities which are dukha yoni. In fact, whatever we are doing are resulting into our material distress. They are causing miseries because in this world, which is ashashvatam dukhalyam, by default we are here because we wanted to enjoy material nature independent of Krishna. We didn't want to serve Krishna. So that is why, and we are doing big karma. 3 types of karma are described in Bhagavad Gita. What are those 3 types of karma?
Akarma, vikarma,
Akarma, vikarma, and karma. Karma,
karma.
karma are prescribed duties as per scriptural injunctions. So these karma are basically material activities. Veda are mainly they are for karmic people, karmi people, those who are want to some kind of results of fruitful. So those are fruitive activities. So bikarma. And the akarma is when activities are performed as per the injunctions of scriptures, but the benefits or the fruits are not enjoyed by the doer, but they are offered as to Lord Krishna. Then it becomes akarma. So, but what we are doing activities which are in contradiction to the prescribed norms of the scriptures. So, when we are engaged in vikarma, then we become asat, achit, and niranand. Our real nature is sit, sat, Satchit Ananda, that is our Ananda Swarupa. Krishna is Satchit Ananda Swarupa, Vigraha. But our nature is also, because qualitatively we are same as Krishna. Quantitatively we are very fraction of it, very, very milli fraction of it. So, but because of material nature, we become Asat, Achit, and Niranand. We are suffering because we are performing Vikarma. We are not doing Akarma. So therefore, engage in sadhana bhakti. And sadhana bhakti, what are sadhana bhakti? Just chanting, following the 4 regulative principles. This is Vaidhi Bhakti basically, because our gurus, our scripture, our spiritual master has told us that get up at 4 in the morning and take a bath, then attend Mangala Arati. So because there is an instruction from superior Acharya or spiritual master, we are doing it. So this becomes a Vaidhi Bhakti because we are following the rules, regulation as prescribed by the spiritual master. So at least to make a beginning, we have to do sadhana bhakti. Bhava bhakti and prema bhakti are very advanced stages. So this is the prescription to cure material distress or material miseries. And duty of Acharya is to find ways to fix disciples' mind on Krishna. What is the difference between Acharya and a guru? Can anybody tell us? Is spiritual master and Acharya, what is the difference between two?
So, Acharya who does by example, he shows by example.
Yes, Prabhuji, very nice. Very nice, thank you. So Acharya lives the instructions himself before he teaches his disciples. So duty of Acharya is to find ways to fix disciples' mind of Krishna. And this is what Srila Prabhupada has done. We are so contaminated souls, we are such fallen souls that Had there not been Krishna, Srila Prabhupada, probably we would not be sitting here. And the Krishna's message, which is in Sanskrit in Bhagavad Gita or in other Shastras like Srimad Bhagavatam and so many other things, we would not have been able to understand anything. But it was mercy of Acharya that he wants all of us to get out of this vicious cycle of birth and death, miseries, all kind of miseries. So essence of sadhana is somehow fix the mind. Not only mind, but also deliver or ask the senses to render active service. Devotional service is a dynamic process. It is not a static process like what Brahmavadis, Mayavadis, or what yogis and what philosophers are doing. So it is a dynamic, it involves activities, and activities involve some kind of rasa, mellows. So we have to have kind of relationship with Krishna. So we have to mold our activities so that we always remember Krishna. Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. So whatever activities we are doing in office, going while driving, while cooking, while doing any activity, we must listen to what Srila Prabhupada's Vani or some kind of Krishna Katha, we must keep on listening. Mothers are, mother, our sisters are cooking food. There can be a audio which may play Krishna's music, maybe Krishna's Lord Srila Prabhupada's messages or talks. So we should always, in office also, let us think that this is this is my duty, and his duty I am offering his duty towards Krishna, and the results whatever get are also offered to Krishna. So we should, even while drinking water or tasting anything, we should think of Krishna. The taste, Bhagavad Gita says that I am the taste of the water, I am the fragrance of the flower. So whatever we see in the material nature, let us think of Krishna, never forget of Krishna. So this is how we can mold our activities into Krishna, remembering Krishna. And it applies to all varnas and ashrama. That now, Srimad Bhagavatam, third canto, 13th chapter, we just now read this verse, that even the dog eaters can attain, pure devotional service, and they become eligible to perform sacrifices if they are in proper mode of devotional service. So it applies to all varnas and ashramas. Everybody, whether it is a Shudra or Brahmana or Kshatriya or Vaishya, he can perform on devotional service. And at any stage, whether it is Brahmachari or Grahast or a Vanaprasth or Sannyas, everybody can. You see here, this is a artisan who is preparing Lord Krishna's deities, statues. So all his mind is focused at this creation. All his senses are actively looking and working for creation of this mind. So whatever we do in our material world, we can direct our mind and senses towards as a worship to Lord Krishna, and that can be purifying. That will purify our consciousness. When our consciousness is purified, then all kleshagnis will go, and then it shall be auspiciousness only. So whatever small act we do in our life, whatever small activities we are performing, let us offer it to Krishna. Let us remember at that moment Krishna. We are driving, let us there be audio of Lord Prabhupada or talking about Lord Krishna. So this is how we can activate our all activities or divert all activities. So sadhana bhakti, this is beginning of chapter 2. We'll talk in next session. Sadhana bhakti has got two sections. One is Vedi bhakti, and second is Raganuga bhakti. Vedi bhakti means whatever our spiritual master, like we are doing, say, some kind of course, Bhakti Shastri or Bhakti Vaibhav or any other course, because we have instructions from our spiritual master, get up in the morning, attend the Mangala Aarti, do 16 times, 16 rounds of japa. So this is because somebody has told us to do, our spiritual master, our Acharya, so we are doing it. The bhava is not there. There is no spontaneous love. But gradually, in Vedi Bhakti, our mind is very flickering. It is always jumping from one idea to one thought to another. We are not able to concentrate our mind. There is no pure, Shuddha Nam is not, we are not in a stage of bhava at all. Even Shuddha Nam is very difficult. We are on a stage of a Nama Parada. So when one is established in Vaidhi Bhakti, he starts developing pure love for that chanting also. We know that initially we talked about some mundane literature. You read it once, you throw it away, it doesn't give any pleasure. You don't want to look at it again second time. But Bhagavad Gita, we want to read again. Srimad Bhagavatam, we want to listen to, hear to it again. So Shabnam, Kirtanam, two things are there. When one is established in Vaidhi Bhakti, he develops spontaneous love. As soon as spontaneous love is or developed, it becomes Raga Anuga Bhakti. So Vaidhi Bhakti, service according to regulative principles, which are fueled by no attachment, no spontaneous love, and engaged by obedience to the order of spiritual master. Of somebody has told us, our Namnish Das Prabhu has told us that everybody will get certificate only when attends Mangal Arati, right? So we are in the stage of Vaidhi Bhakti. But when after attending, then we develop some kind of love for attending. If we don't want to miss our Mangala Arti, we don't want to miss our 16 rounds of chanting, then it becomes Raganuga. We become attached to that chanting because chanting gives us our soul some kind of bliss or happiness, which is enduring, which lasts whole day long unless we wait for next day again. So Ragana Bhakti is service out of natural love because we have developed natural love to attain Mangalarti, to do, 16 rounds of chanting or more. The activity may not, or does not differ. Activity may not or does not differ. Activity may be anything. I mean, any activity, not only devotional related activity. Our activities in the material world, whatever we are doing, small things, So they are all directed out of love for Krishna, and both are in category of practice or activity. So this is the end of this presentation. We come to an end. So we will stop here. We talked about today. We talked about chapter 1 characteristics, different characteristics of a pure devotional service, and Kleshabni, Subhada, Moksha Laghukrita, Sudurlabha, then Krishna Akarshani, and the last one was that Moksha Laghukrita. The last one was Krishna Akarshani, and it was Sudurlabha. So these six aspects we discussed of correct. These are the features of pure devotional service, and ultimately these are parts of basically sadhana bhakti. First two, second two of bhava bhakti, and last two of prema bhakti. So we at this stage are in the stage of Vaidhi bhakti. Sometimes only raganuga bhakti develops in our mind. So we have to purify our consciousness by these efforts, and then only we can enter into next stage, that is Bhava Bhakti. So any questions or any doubts I would like to invite before we end. Hare Krishna, Ji Mataji.